Nampa pride is shining bright. Voices strong and morning light. Matt and Tyler take the mic, telling stories every night.
Every night?
I know, we got to change that.
Yeah.
From classrooms to the field, truth and laughter both revealed. Tune in for that special feel. Nampa School's always real. Welcome to Nampa, where dreams can grow.
Dreams can grow.
Dreams can grow. And never get tired of that podcast intro, but we do need to change it so it's not every night, every week.
Yeah, and I don't know how many dreams are growing here, but we'll go with most of them.
Lots of them.
Yeah,
lots of dreams. Well, everybody, welcome into episode 8 of the Nampa School District podcast. My name is Tyler Keefe, and I am the digital communications specialist for the Nampa School District. And with me, as always, is the great Matt Sizemore.
Well, thank you, Tyler. That's sweet. Yes, I am Matt Sizemore, as I have been for at least the past 8 episodes. I am the community and media relations gentleman here for the Nampa School District, enjoying every moment of it. And as always, I'm very excited for the we have 2 guests today. We've had we've had a couple before. We've had 3 cheer people at one time.
That's when you were remote.
Yes, I was. Yep. Yeah, that worked out. Too many people in the studio. This right here is the perfect amount. So we are bringing in today 2 very musical gentlemen. Both are director of bands, which sounds, we'll go with better than band directors. We've got Paul McEntee from Columbia and Jared Sene from Nampa. Welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, yeah. So I'm a very musical person, or at least I like to consider myself such. You guys must be the most musical people on earth to be directors of bands. So tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I'm originally from Fresno, California. I'm born and raised there. Actually, after high school, I started Fresno State. I went there for 3 years, and then I transferred to Western Baptist College, which is in Salem, Oregon. I met my wife there, and I finished up my degree, and then moved back to Fresno. I actually ended up teaching at where I went to high school for the first 8 years of my career there at a private school in Fresno. Went back to Fresno State, got my master's degree, and then in about 2002, drove over and decided, hey, gonna look at coming over to Boise, Idaho, which my wife's family's from Payette.
Okay.
And so when we saw the area, and we bought a house, and I interviewed for 3 jobs, one in Valley View School District, one in Payette, and one in Nampa. Actually took the one in Payette for 3 years. Actually, Columbia was opening. This was 18 years ago, and I got offered the job for Columbia and the job for Payette, but I took the Payette job because I was finishing up my master's degree, building a house. My 3rd son was getting ready to be born. Just a lot on our plate, so a new high school was not what we were intended for at the time. 3 years later, Columbia came open again, and I applied again, and the principal at the time says, if I offer you the job, are you going to take it? And I said, yeah, and so got the job, and this is year 16 for me here. So
Nice. And that, of course, was Paul speaking.
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah, Paul McEntee. Here I am.
Well, great story. How about yourself, Jared?
This is Jared.
Good intro.
Yeah, I grew up in Idaho Falls in eastern Idaho. I had some incredible band directors who inspired me to do this. My high school band director, Bob Dunmeyer, was a jazz musician. We didn't really have a competitive marching band, so we focused a lot on jazz and the more musical aspects of music, less of the movement side. So I went to college at Northwest Nazarene University, moved to Nampa 10 years ago in 2014 when I graduated high school. Went through the program. There's a bunch of jazz opportunities. There's a lot of opportunity to get yourself involved in music throughout the campus, but then also they push you out of the campus too. So that's actually where I learned to play bass, which I became a jazz musician on bass, and I try to play as much as I can, just all over, everywhere. I got the job at Lone Star Middle School teaching band and orchestra in 2018, which was an awesome time. I loved middle school. But I decided last year that I wanted something a little bit more challenging for me, and I love jazz, and Nampa is one of the only schools in the state that has 3 full jazz bands. So I was super excited to, get to teach 3 different levels of jazz, which is just what I love to do. I'm not a marching band guy. As I said, my high school didn't have competitive marching band. NNU doesn't even have a marching band. So going to Nampa, which is has a rich history of marching band, was interesting, and I knew that it would be a fun and different challenge that I'm not used to, and it would stretch me, which has been it's exactly what it's done, and it's been a lot of fun. So I moved to Nampa last year, to Nampa High School, Finished my master's this summer with the American Band College at Central Washington University. And that was an eye-opening experience because it's a program that's only focused on band and how to better yourself as a band director, which is what we all want to do. So now I'm here in Nampa for my 2nd year.
Nice.
So what's funny is you went to NNU and you got your master's from Central Washington.
Yeah.
So I started out my college at NNU and I finished my bachelor's at Central Washington.
What?
And so it's just kind of a funny thing.
Good schools.
Oh, director of bands, Tyler Keefe. Right?
Yeah, no. I'm not going to go that far. But just kind of a funny coincidence is as you were saying that. So it's like, but I'm assuming you did your stuff all online. You didn't get the pleasure of going to Ellensburg, Washington.
Pleasure, yeah. No. The program that I do, it's interesting. It's only accredited through Central Washington, but the whole program is in person in Ashland, Oregon.
Weird.
Which is amazingly beautiful. And it's over 3 summers. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely a stark difference from Ellensburg, Washington.
definitely. Yeah.
So I got to ask you, so you're a jazz guy.
Yeah.
Traditionally, you said bass. If we're speaking jazz, is this the stand-up bass?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you have one at home?
Yeah. I've got a couple at home. Yeah.
A couple?
Yeah, I've got one acoustic, which is the big boy, and then an electric upright, which looks like a 2x4.
Yeah.
With strings.
So you must also have a lot of storage.
No. It takes up a room.
Those are big. What else do you play?
My main instrument and what I played in band all through school and college was trombone.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I'm a low brass guy.
Okay.
Just like both of you.
Yeah, I played the tuba, so brass.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Same here. I was played tuba.
Yeah.
We'd always have fun sitting
Yeah.
there waiting for our turn to actually play.
Yeah. Lots of counting.
Yes.
I'm very good at counting.
To 4, though. Only to 4.
Only to 4.
Tuba's fun. I've got I'm on Spotify playing tuba in a band called the Moody Jews.
Oh, cool.
It's a lot of fun, and it's pretty good klezmer music if you want to listen.
That was my next question is, do you guys play outside of school, basically? What do you guys do, if anything?
Yeah, well, I was a worship pastor in Meridian for 17 years. I play guitar and lead worship in churches. I resigned at my church last October to focus on taking some new school classes for me. So
Nice.
So I'm taking some administrative classes right now. So
Gotcha.
but yeah, I play guitar.
Okay.
That's my side gig thing, my relaxing thing. So yeah.
Cool. Very cool. How about you, Jared?
Yeah, the jazz scene in Boise is alive and well. So I play in the circuit. You know, there's a lot of cool venues in Boise. Like the Riverside Hotel has a bunch of venues and music every night. Chandler's, I used to play there every week when I taught at Lone Star, but I quit that to focus on marching band at Nampa. So there's a bunch of different venues that us jazz musicians just kind of rotate in and out of all the time.
Gotcha. Well, that's a fun thing.
So if there's one thing that I know about band directors, band people, however you want to say it, is change is sometimes not the best thing in the world. But here in Nampa, you know, we have quite a bit of change that has happened over the past few months. Matt and I know far too well, as you know, we communicated out. But you guys are in the classroom, you're in the trenches of the changes. We have the Tri-6, we have the 4-day week, we have new AstroTurf going in at the stadiums. So kind of hitting those almost one by one. First off with the Tri-6, the biggest change I see from the outside is you get to see your kids every single day. Now you don't have to practice on Monday. You don't get to see that group again until Wednesday and basically review what you did. Now you can actually get a lot further. So How does that change your approach to the classroom side of music?
Sure. Obviously, we're looking at a little bit shorter periods, but really not that much. 20 minutes a day, roughly. Pardon me. Seeing them daily is huge. You're able to some continuity and being able to go from idea to idea, and you should see more growth. Like you said, when you go from Monday to Wednesday, there's some atrophy usually, and you have to go back and you have to say, okay, what did we do? Do you remember this? And then so that's nice. The Monday through Thursday is really nice. For us, we're also rehearsing, at least for marching band, we're going Monday nights, and then we're actually going Fridays. If I have meetings, I go 12 to 3 because I have meetings until noon. If I don't, then we're going 9 to noon, just during marching season. So I'm actually going to see my kids every day during marching season, and it's going to be positive, yeah.
Jared?
Yeah, I think as educators, we've kind of devoted ourselves to change, which is just something that we can't deny. What's cool is that the students are, as they always are, they're resilient and they're just willing to do it because they love band and they love music. They love making music with each other too, live, and not like in 2020 when they were trying to make music on Zoom and Teams, which is tricky. But I'm really, really, really excited. I can't express how excited I am about seeing them every day for 80 minutes, I think.
71.
70. Okay. That was close.
Not to
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah,
be precise.
extremely specific.
I want to ask you guys, you both have, and this is something I've kind of always wondered about because you see like in major colleges, just the formations, basically the dances, the art that bands are able to make on the field. How has that been for you guys to be able to add into your repertoire, if you will, coming from musical backgrounds? How is that learned and then taught after that?
Sure. I was not actually when I was in high school. I was not in marching band. We actually just did parades at my high school, and then I went to Fresno State, and it was a big marching band. And our marching band director is a guy named Gary P. Gilroy, pretty famous guy, and he's known for marching bands. So that was my first real taste of field shows. And but even since I've been doing it as a teacher, it's definitely changed. I mean, you look at it's marching band, but there's definitely a lot more artistry with movement and visuals and dance. It's kind of a love-hate for me. Sometimes I'm going, am I teaching, the dance team, or am I doing band? But we have visual people that come and help sometimes. There's some things that I try to do, we'll say that, and help with the process. But yeah, it's a work. I mean, it's really a marriage of three things. You got to know how to move, marching just with your feet, and then it's music, and then there's the visual aspect with even upper body movement, and marrying those three together sometimes gets difficult. It really does, and finding your place on we have dots. We have what are called sets, and so we'll teach kids. Here, set one. In fact, yesterday we just at Columbia we just started setting our drill, and you can teach how to set drill really poorly. And the process is there's definitely a science to it. So you'll set one, and you'll say set two, and kids have got to get from point A to point B, and it's usually in a straight line. And they have 12 counts to get there, and then they have to figure out, oh well, this is how far I need to move, and it's 12 steps, and they need to be equal size steps, and so it's a process. And like in our drill, we have 81 sets, which might sound like a little, might sound like a lot. I don't know, but I mean it's tricky for kids to move, almost dance at times, do visual aspects, memorize their music, do all those things. It's a task. Yeah.
I can see that. How about you, Jaron?
Yeah, I just echo what Paul says. Ditto.
Next question.
I'm not. As I said, I'm not a marching band guy. Right. I didn't go to schools that had a strong marching program at all, or even a marching program. So what I've tried to do at Nampa is just surround myself and the kids with excellent staff that we have at all of our rehearsals who teach the visual aspect, and then I can focus on purely the musical aspect. So that has seemed to work out pretty nicely last year, and it's awesome this year. It's fun to see, all of those three aspects combine, and to see students buy into something that's so huge and so captivating, and they can be expressive, even more expressive than they can just be on their instruments. They can show expression through movement too.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that's really cool that we haven't really talked a whole lot about, but we have new camera systems in each of the stadiums, and I know Columbia, you guys are last to get your turf installed, but we have the huddle camera now that you can record practice, and you can record the halftime shows during the game, to be able to actually go back and watch like a football coach would and watch game film. And so it's really cool. We were looking at some of it yesterday, how you can get the different angles, it can zoom in, it can do all this stuff without you having to put somebody up in the stand and just, hold the camera up, or, have a drone up above. So how is that do you guys see that as being a huge benefit, that you can actually, let's go through our set, and then 10 minutes later walk into your band room and throw it up on the screen? Okay, let's watch and see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It used to be last year that we would just ask parents to come into most rehearsals and set up a tripod with their camcorder. But then using it that way, we can't show them the video until like at the beginning of the next rehearsal, 2 days later, when it's ready to move from the camera to the computer. With this, it is a lot easier just to, you can pull up our phones or iPads or whatever and show a certain section. Hey, I'm going to zoom into your section and watch you move through this set. See how your foot timing isn't exactly right through all of you. So it's an awesome tool that I was delighted to hear that we bought into.
And a nice little plug, even if you have a student who has family over in Maine, they can actually buy the live stream package and be able to watch the performances. I mean, yes, they'll get to watch the football game too, but it'll have that. But then when you guys do have, marching competitions, hopefully we're going to get some here locally for us, but also just practices, you guys can actually live stream a practice. Or you mentioned having a parent night, coming up. You guys could live stream just the parent night for parents, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, really anywhere in the world. So, I mean, that's super cool.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, there's some definite good things that can be done with that. A student sometimes doesn't know what they look like because they're not looking at themselves while they're marching. So their ability to go and see, oh, I am doing this, or, oh, get your shoulders up, or, get your head up. You can say that so many times when they see, oh, my head is not up. Oh, that does look bad. Or, hey, that looks good. All those things are, you get quick information from watching, obviously, a video, and that can be very helpful. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, and with that, mentioning the fields, it is what it is. We have 3 new fields coming in. As I mentioned, your guys is going to be on double time. 2 crews are going to be out there working on it this coming week. And for me, looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for football to be able to use it. I'm a football guy, but I also play in the band. So I understand both sides of this spectrum here. To me, the group of people that really get to utilize it the most is going to be the bands, because before, you guys maybe got one night a week on the field, if that, depending on games. Now you guys can essentially use it daily. You could have a 5th period class. I think, I don't know which school has 5th period marching band, where you can just go out on the field and use it, and you don't have to worry about the random markings. If the lines weren't perfect, if they weren't in the right spot, the hash marks, like all the things that go into your staging, as you were mentioning. Now it's set, it's done, boom. No matter what school you go to across the district, it's the same.
Yeah.
So speaking to the turf, I know that there's people out there that are big naysayers about it, but in reality, it's a huge benefit to all of our students. So how's that really going to change how you guys approach the year, more so than what I was able to say from the limited knowledge that I have of what you guys do?
Yeah, we would get limited time on the field, and there was always concern because we have sets, dots, and certain things we go, and so we would be in the same arc or the same shape all the time and marching in the same areas. There's always concern about, stamping things down because we're dealing with grass and if it rained, and then we'd sometimes have to switch sides of the field. Hey, let's play to the away side now, and so we do that. so we wouldn't be marching on the same spot all the time. And you really don't have to worry about that anymore. A lot of times, too, obviously the paint fades over the week, or if there's not a home game for a couple weeks, because only paint for home games, then we couldn't really see what's going on. Now it's obviously always there. Yeah, the markers are going to be so much easier, even for us to set drill, which the process will be much easier on that field than it is on the grass. It's obviously not going to be wet unless it's raining. It will, but you always get on there. The kids in their shoes are sopping wet. In the fall, so it's going to be very nice. Yeah, and the ability to go in fifth periods. That's when my class is, and then our activities director has given us also. We have access to it on either Mondays or Fridays as well, on our evenings or afternoons, depending on when we're doing that as well. So that's great.
Yeah, and similar to Columbia, our marching band is at first period, so we'll be on the turf for most of the season during first period, which is nice. And then our rehearsals are Tuesday and Thursday nights, and we'll be on the turf most Tuesdays. And I was looking at our competition schedule and going through, how it looks this year. We have 4 competitions, and all 4 of them are on turf. So it makes sense to practice on turf for a competition that's also on turf. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to keep the kids on the grass the entire time when they're going to go compete on a turf. So,
yeah, no, it makes perfect sense for me, and hopefully the listeners out there too as well, to hopefully ease some of that concern that they had. We're spending all this money on turf, but really it's just for football, when no, football's actually probably going to use it the least, because they're not necessarily going to be practicing on it either. They're going to sell their practice fields because soccer is going to be on the field,
right.
band's going to be on the field, all these things. So, it's a huge benefit all around, and hopefully once people actually get out and see it, they're going to be like, oh, that's awesome. And one thing that Matt and I, we've talked about multiple times, is a Friday night in the stadiums is like nothing else. I got a picture last year down on the sideline of Columbia. The receiver was looking over doing his thing, making sure he's on the line, but the sunset was just perfect behind it. And that's one that I still use on as many times as I can. Nampa High, you got the sunset. We always joke about the Rose Bowl, the iconic sunsets there. I'm like, you haven't seen the sunset, so you've been at Bulldog Bowl.
Yeah.
And
Better than the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, better than the Rose Bowl. Quote me on that. But along with that though is a sense of community too. Is being around all 3 high schools and being a band guy myself, knowing people in the bands, it's a whole different ball game when you get the pep band going, you got the marching band, and you see the families come out just to watch the band. Which to me,
awesome.
that never happened in my high school. I went to a small high school. But people are coming out just for the band. And you guys have done crazy, awesome things. You're in year 2, but I know at Columbia, you guys have won state championships at D3 with marching.
We really don't have state championships, and that's the thing is, so we have, because we have 4A, 5A. So 9-time champions in 4A, 5A. We've never won the whole thing, which marching band's kind of different like that. They get everybody, after everything's done, they get everybody together and throw them in a pool and say, who is the overall winner?
Yeah.
And it's always been the 5As. So.
But you can claim 4A champion.
Correct. Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah. 9 times.
Yeah, and that's huge. So Matt, he's talking about Fresno State band, but Columbia band has been doing phenomenal things. Nampa band has a history of doing the same, but you guys haven't always been in the same divisions or classifications. So now you guys are both in the same. So you're really going to be competing against each other.
Actually, that remains to be seen. Actually, it's probably not going to happen.
Oh, are they
Really?
changing that?
Why?
It's interesting. They kind of have in our D3 music quorum, I guess, all the music teachers, they have a different set of bylaws and rules that we can follow. And so bands they're kind of divided against or into different categories, which sometimes bands can choose to march up into a category above them. But it's not by size.
It is by size.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
It is by size. Yeah. So bands are going to be done by size this year. And that's a common way to do it. We actually march. It's weird because we march in different competitions. Like first competition that we march at will be at Eagle High School, which is really just a clinic. I'm sorry, it's actually Mountain View. Yep. And then the next week we go to Utah. Oh. And in Utah, we're going to Utah State. At that one, it's actually done by band size. Done by band size and school size. It's actually both. And that's weird the way they do it. Then we come back and we'll be going to one that's in Cuna, which will be done by band size. And that's done through U.S. Bands, which is a national circuit. And they have a few competitions here in Idaho. And then we decided that most circuits usually do go by band size rather than school size. So, for instance, like Bishop Kelly, even though they've got a pretty small band, and so I think they march like 20, and they were 4A. And like last year, Ridgeview's in there, and they were marching like 150. And people so people think, oh, that's not, it's not. So they go by band size instead. So like Fruitland, even though they're a 3A school, there'll be a 4A school this year. They're actually quite a big band. So there's for some schools it's a benefit. For some schools it's a negative. We're about 60, and so we've never been as big as Nampa. A lot of that has to do with the double feed with West and Lone Star feeding. You got 2 band programs feeding Nampa, which really helps. I mean, you got a band, and then send 2 bands, and it's really nice. Not complaining at all. Just logistics of things. Anytime you have 2 middle schools that feed a high school, it's a very positive thing for a music program, and so and really sports too. But yeah, so it's going to be done by band size. Sorry, I'm ranting a little.
So you were saying you're at about 60?
Yeah,
okay,
that's correct.
And how about you, Jared?
Nampa this year is about 120.
Wow, double the size. Okay, gotcha. So it would make sense that maybe you're not.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, we'll probably be different divisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered, and maybe it's just self-explanatory, but how exactly competitions work? Is it just judged on, music, movement, the performance, or the dance? I don't know if you say the dance, but
sure. It's very similar. Like if you're watching the Olympics, you look at diving, you look at gymnastics, all those things. They look at different things, and it is subjective. So you'll have usually, you have music judges, you have visual judges, you'll have what is called general effect judges, which the best way that I can really talk about what GE means is, am I being entertained? Really, am I being entertained?
Okay.
And so sometimes there'll be a visual GE and a music GE. So am I being entertained? Does it make sense visually, and am I being entertained? Musically, am I being entertained? And then you'll have a percussion and then a color guard judge as well. So, pardon me. Well, usually when we go to D3, there's we'll have we have the biggest panel of judges there. We'll have 2 music judges, 2 visual judges, 2 GE judges, and sometimes 2 percussion judges and 2 guard judges. We'll have almost 10 judges coming from around the country. That's at Boise State. But most competitions, we usually have 1 per category. And there's, some weeks you'll go and you'll be like, hey, we had really good scores this week, but then, a different judge might see things differently the following week, and they'll say, hey, and so it is subjective, which is a tricky part of band. But that's why at D3 they usually bring in a bigger panel to hopefully avoid, having more parity, I guess, so that you can see that there's more consistency with scoring.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like that at every competition, every music festival. It's not like we get scored and we get points based on how many shots we make.
Yeah.
All the judges are it's subjective because it has to be. It's art. Right?
Yeah.
So everyone has their own opinion, and they're all different.
Gotcha.
They can be right or wrong, just that.
Just like all judges, of course. Yeah. So I want to ask you guys, what would you say? It's pretty amazing that you guys get to work with music every day. I'm jealous of all musicians who make a living from that. It's just such a cool thing to be able to work and play, really, in a way, in music. What would you say is your favorite part about what you're doing?
Well, definitely that. It's making music with the kids. Seeing, there's a difference between a music educator and a performing musician. Because performing musicians, they get to work with other musicians, which is gratifying. So gratifying. They get to make amazing music. Music educators, we get to work with young musicians, and we get to train the young musicians to be able to be at that level. And so seeing, especially when I taught middle school for 5 years, bringing the kids from almost zero music ability.
Yeah.
Some of them come in, pretty above the bar, but most of them are at pretty close to zero. And seeing by the end of their 8th grade when they're playing pretty advanced stuff, it's extremely gratifying seeing the light in their eyes. And once they can kind of figure out the first few notes, they just want to do more and do more. And it's a cycle, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely the best part of our job. The least favorite part is all the administrative stuff and getting 4 buses to go to a competition and just not fun.
Yeah.
So.
The technical stuff.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Paul?
Sure. My favorite part is probably learning how to read music. What people I don't think realize is that there's actually learning how to read is a process, and if you get really good at it, to me that's when band becomes fun. It's very similar like reading a book. When you're reading a book, you're going, oh my goodness, where is this going? Where is this going? You can do the same thing with music. If you pass out a new piece of music to a bunch of people who really know how to read, they're listening to music for the first time, and they'd have no idea where it's going, and they can be playing their instrument. Oh, my goodness, what's going on over there? The trumpets, what are they playing? That's amazing. And then the kids are playing, they're playing the clarinet. Oh, my part's awesome right now. And they're playing it. And they're going, oh, my goodness, who's that over there? What are the French horns doing over there? And it's so amazing for that process to be hearing a song for the first time, and you're creating it together as a group. It's probably my favorite thing. And it's definitely a process of learning how to read. It's my favorite thing. In fact, I've done it in concert before where I had a couple really good jazz bands where they were really good at reading. And they came out on stage, and I had music set up for them, and we were going to sight read in a concert. And so, and I told them it was coming. And they came and they sat down and they played music for the first time in front of their parents and peers, and it was a pretty cool experience. Even though we did it all the time in class, so a lot of reading. Reading's my favorite thing to do. Yeah. Cool,
gotcha. All right, and how about where people can see your bands coming up? School year starting on Monday. Oh my gosh, on Monday. So, what have you got coming up where people can see you?
Sure. So. We've got class.
Hooray!
Yeah. Our first game we're actually playing is not until September 13th, and then on that new turf field, right? And it's supposed to be ready for that day, and we're actually playing Nampa on that day. So it's going to be Columbia Nampa on the 13th. That's our first home game. And then after that, like I said, we're participating in 5 competitions this year. One at Mountain View, one in Utah, one in Cuna, one at Ridgeview. Is that correct? Is it Ridgeview?
Valley View.
It's at Valley View. Sorry, it's a Treasure Valley Festival of Bands. They rotate between Valley View and Ridgeview. And the following week on the 26th of October is D3. And so those are our 5. And obviously, anytime there's a home game, you can go to Nampa home game, Columbia home game, and see the bands at halftime. Yeah.
Yeah, and at Nampa, we have our first parent performance coming up on September 3rd, which was, if you're listening, it was moved from August 20th to September 3rd because the field isn't quite done yet. That'll be in the Bulldog Bowl. Our first game is on the 6th. That's also on the turf. This year we have 4 games, home games, and then 4 competitions that we're going to. We're starting the first 2 competitions, I think, are also with Columbia. The first one's the West Data Clinic at Mountain View, and then we have Utah, which is Bridgerland. And that's in Logan. And then we're going to Treasure Valley Festival of Bands with Valley View and D3. So I guess we'll be at 4 of the same competitions this year. So those are Nampa's dates.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. So time for my favorite part, the random question. And so the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what am I going to ask? What am I going to ask? Then it just came to me. Pep bands. So love them or hate them, pep bands. What is your favorite pep band song, and why is it Hey Baby?
Sure. Well, like Jim Gaffigan says that marching bands are amazing. They can take any song, and make you absolutely hate it. and ruin it for everybody. No, there are definitely songs I think that transfer to marching band. That's really hard. We've got some generic things. They're not really necessarily artist pieces. I usually like ones that aren't remakes of old songs. But I mean, I'll be honest. I've never done Hey Baby in my 27 years
Oh,
as a
man.
band director. I've never done Hey Baby. Sorry to disappoint.
You got the tuba solo in there.
I realize, and I'm a tuba player. I think that's more of a Nampa thing. So,
It is,
do you guys do Hey Baby, Jared?
We're moving away from it. Sorry, Tyler.
Hey, it's okay.
Sorry to disappoint.
Our Nampa kids don't know this yet, but they'll be playing a lot of the Bluey theme song. In the
Oh,
songs.
cool.
So
Nice.
that'll be my favorite because it's just so cute.
I can't tell if
Nice.
you're joking or not,
I'm
Jared.
serious. Last year I came through and I rewrote a bunch of our Band in the Stands tunes, and I just added a bunch of silly stuff like the ESPN the football theme. We added that. We added a bunch of weird things: Harry Potter, Star Wars.
Nice.
And this year we'll add Bluey.
Nice. I'm bringing my daughter. She'll love that. So pep. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. I think of one back when I was playing football a million years ago that I don't know why, I always enjoyed when the band would start playing it. I think I'm getting the right one. I just had to look it up. Gary Glitter, Rock and Roll Part 2. I think that's the one I'm thinking about. Hey, is that Gary Glitter?
It is.
Okay, yes. So that one, for some reason, whenever the band, and I wish I had more time to think about this because I'm sure that's not the answer I would say. But I remember that one, and it stood out to me as one I always thought, this is a good one. It's getting me somewhat pumped up, I guess you could say. Wow, that was
That's
a boring
definitely
answer.
the point.
Yeah,
The point
yeah.
is-
No, and for me, Hey Baby, only because of the tuba solo. You
What is
know,
Hey Baby?
we'll talk afterwards.
Okay, fantastic.
I'm not going to sing it for you.
We should outro with that.
but being able to have that, but then the worst one though, I'm going to throw in the worst one as a tuba player was Living on a Prayer. Just that bass line the whole time. It made my hand cramp, and I'm like, can we not play this again? Come on. So,
Yeah, there's a few of those.
but no, so this has been a fun conversation. I'm excited to, see the competitions, see the practice, see the performances. That's the right word. I was really looking forward to see the performances, come Friday nights, because I get to be down on the field taking pictures, and it's fun. I thoroughly enjoy it. And, I appreciate you guys coming in, taking your time today. I know it's day 2 now officially for teachers, but it's something that a lot of people in the community don't get, is what everything that goes into band and all that. And you guys really have given us a small glimpse into that. So I appreciate that. Thank you for coming in. Anything else that you guys want to add to kind of wrap this up there?
Sure. I was just thinking while we were getting ready to close up here, then we have show titles too. So our title of our show this year is called The Warrior's Code. So it's kind of homage to samurai Japanese culture. And so it kind of has that sound to it. And our kids really enjoying putting it on the field, and I'm looking forward to performing for the Nampa community, Columbia High School, and really representing our school and our district well, in state and out of state when we go to Utah. So looking forward to that and thankful for this time.
Yeah, and Nampa's show is called the Bebop Ballet, which features a lot of jazz with some classical music kind of infused in there. And just like Paul, I'm really looking forward to showcasing the Nampa bands. I did forget to mention one performance that Nampa and Skyview do together, and that's in the Bulldog Bowl on October 25th.
Okay, cool. Great.
Columbia would have been there, but we have our last home game that night.
Next
so.
year.
Next
All
year.
three
All
of us
right,
will
that
get
makes
together.
sense.
Well,
Gotcha.
again, thank you for joining us. This has been episode 8 of the Nampa School District podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
We will indeed.
Thank you.